History says Cleopatra died by a snake bite in her tomb, but history is lying. What if the world's most famous suicide was actually the greatest vanishing act in human history? Welcome to the escape theory.
If you love forgotten stories of powerful women, hit subscribe. I uncover a new one every week.
August 12th, 30 BCE. The war is over. Rome has won. Gaius Octavian, soon to call himself Augustus, has taken Egypt. Mark Antony is already dead, bled out in the arms of the woman he loved, on the wrong side of history, and Cleopatra VII, last pharaoh of the Ptolemaic dynasty, last independent ruler of Egypt, is locked inside her mausoleum. She has been there for 11 days. What happens next is one of the most famous deaths in all of recorded history. This is the story you were told, but history has a habit of being written by the people who needed a particular ending. Here is what the Roman sources tell us. Cleopatra, unwilling to walk in Octavian's triumph, to be paraded through the streets of Rome in chains, displayed as a conquered prize before the citizens of the empire, chose death. She chose it deliberately, royally, on her own terms. According to Plutarch, writing 150 years after the event, a basket of figs was brought to the mausoleum, concealed within it an asp, the Egyptian cobra, sacred serpent of the pharaohs, bringer of divine death. Cleopatra pressed the snake to her arm, perhaps her breast, perhaps her neck. The sources disagree. Her two attendants, Iris and Charmian, died with her. When Roman soldiers broke down the door, they found 3 women dead. Cleopatra was on her golden couch, dressed in full royal regalia, crown on her head, composed as if sleeping, a perfect death, a pharaoh's death. Octavian wept, or so the story goes. Before we question the snake, we need to understand what Octavian needed. He needed Cleopatra alive. This is not an assumption. It is documented. A Roman triumph was not simply a military parade. It was a sacred ritual of Roman power. Its centerpiece was the conquered ruler, living, bound, displayed. The crowd needed to see the enemy humiliated. The gods needed to receive the offering of a defeated king. Octavian had planned his triumph for years. He had spent his entire political career framing the war against Antony not as a civil conflict, Romans killing Romans, but as a foreign war. A war against Egypt, against the East, against the seductive, dangerous queen who had stolen Rome's greatest general. Without Cleopatra in chains, his triumph was incomplete. He stationed guards around the mausoleum. He sent personal envoys to assure her safety. He allowed her food, attendance, her physician. He wanted her alive. And yet, she died anyway. The man who needed her to live lost her. For 2,000 years, historians have accepted this, the snake, the basket, the willing queen. But in the last century, as forensic analysis, Egyptology, and classical scholarship have converged, a different set of questions has emerged. Not did she die, but did she die then? And was the body in that mausoleum actually Cleopatra? This is the case for Project Isis, the staged disappearance of the last pharaoh. Let us begin with the snake itself. The Egyptian cobra, Naja Haje, is the species identified by classical sources as the instrument of Cleopatra's death. It is not a small animal. A mature Naja Haje grows to 6 feet in length. It is one of the largest venomous snakes in Africa. It does not fold, it does not compress into a basket of figs, and remain calm and concealed in the dark. Herpetologists have noted this for decades. The snake capable of fitting in a fig basket, the Egyptian sand boa, or perhaps a smaller viper, is not reliably lethal, not to 3 women, not within minutes, not cleanly. A cobra of sufficient size to deliver a lethal envenomation through a single bite would be immediately visible to anyone who opened the basket. The Roman guards searched items brought to prisoners. We know this from the later account of Octavian's own response, his fury, his disbelief. But the guards did not find the snake. Either the most famous assassination weapon in history was miraculously overlooked by professional soldiers, or it was never there. 3 women died. The official account requires us to accept that a single basket of figs concealed 1 snake, possibly 2, capable of killing 3 human beings. Asp venom works through neurotoxicity. It is not fast. The average time between bite and death, untreated, ranges from 15 minutes to several hours depending on the location of the bite, the amount of venom delivered, the size of the victim. But here is what the sources describe when the soldiers arrived. Charmian was still standing, still conscious, still adjusting the queen's crown. A Roman soldier asked her, reportedly, through what mechanism we do not know, whether this was well done. Most well, she is said to have answered, as befits a descendant of many kings. Then she fell. A woman dying of cobra venom, who has watched her queen die first, is still composed enough to arrange a crown, to deliver a perfect rhetorical farewell, and to fall only on cue. Venom does not work on a script. There is another possibility. Charmian was not dying. Charmian was performing. Now consider the body itself. Cobra envenomation is not peaceful. The neurotoxins attack the nervous system progressively. In the hours before death, victims typically experience severe pain, convulsions, difficulty breathing, loss of muscular control, involuntary movement. The face contorts. The body does not remain composed, and yet every source, Roman and Greek alike, describes Cleopatra as she was found. Perfect. Lying on her couch as though sleeping, fully dressed, crown in place. Skin unmarked, no visible bite wounds described, no signs of struggle, no distress visible on her features. Plutarch says she appeared as though she were resting. Octavian's own physicians were called to examine the body. They were unable to determine a cause of death with certainty. This has been treated by historians as a footnote. It should be treated as the headline. The official doctors could not confirm how the most famous suicide in antiquity had died. Octavian was not careless. He was, by every historical account, a man of meticulous political calculation. He had destroyed Mark Antony, his senior military partner, through patience and strategic patience. He had managed a civil war and made it look like a foreign one. He understood what was at stake with Cleopatra. The mausoleum was guarded by Roman soldiers, not Egyptian servants, not local functionaries, Roman soldiers under Roman command, answerable directly to Octavian. Access was controlled, goods were inspected, movement was monitored, and yet a peasant with a basket walked up to this secured perimeter, was admitted, delivered his cargo, left, no alarm, no discovery, no record of who this person was, where he came from, or whether he was ever questioned afterward. In every serious security analysis of this account, the same word keeps appearing: convenient. When Octavian was informed that Cleopatra was dead, the sources tell us he was distraught. He summoned physicians. He summoned specialists in snake venom, people called silly, whose claimed ability to suck out poison was known throughout the ancient world. He tried, reportedly, to revive her. He failed. But here is the thing that historians do not adequately interrogate. Octavian then held his triumph anyway, without the prisoner. He carried a golden effigy of Cleopatra through the streets of Rome, a statue, a symbol, not a woman, and he never, in any of his later writings or public records, claimed that he had been deceived. He never executed the guards who had failed him. He never punished anyone for the security failure that cost him his prize. A man who destroyed his closest allies for political failures. Let this one go. Why?